Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. And to the folks online, thank you for tuning in. For anyone who didn't already know, my name is Chris, and I have the position of Tanto, or Head of Practice at Beginner's Mind Zen Center, which is where we are right now. And before I started talking, I just wanted to say a couple things. First, I wanted to acknowledge and thank my teacher, Jane Schneider, and the other founding teacher of this temple, Peter Schneider, who has passed into peri-nirvana. And I wanted to say that this talk is just to encourage you in your practice. I also want to thank and acknowledge Greg Fain, because for a number of years he was my teacher, and this is how he starts his talks, and he said it would be okay if I borrowed that. So I want to start by saying I can be kind of cynical and petty sometimes, and I have very dim view of businesses sometimes. So I get irritated over things like just coming up with like a catchphrase and then putting that catchphrase on like t-shirts and stickers and whatever, and then just like selling it, because it's like the only added value, it just doesn't come from the company that did that. It's like all on our end. Like we read into the phrase. So like if you've seen like, and it's spreading good vibes is good. I'm not knocking spreading good vibes. So actually, I'm not really sure what irritates about me, but like, for example, like life is good. If anyone has ever seen like, there's like a flower and I'm just kind of like, is that all you're doing? Is just coming up with a phrase? And I mean, you know, it's decent quality merch, the t-shirts and the whatnot, but anyway, so, but there's another company, No Bad Days. And I'm just like, is that all you're, that's kind of lame. And I looked them up on the internet, and they have actually copyrighted or registered as a trademark, No Bad Days. Now, when they typed it out, it was all caps, so maybe that matters. I don't know if it does or not, but I'm just like, oh, you can copyright just a simple wishing of good vibes. Cool. I don't want to go into business and make t-shirts and bumper stickers and stuff, but good to know that it's that's not. And you see what I'm talking about when I say I'm being kind of a cynical asshole. So, but then also more on the interpersonal level, I've noticed that if someone asks you how's it going and you say it's going okay, they get like, oh my God, no, just okay. It's not like good. And the way they respond is just kind of like it feels like I said something wrong when something's just okay. I kind of feel like if something's okay, then it's okay, and that okay is actually pretty good in the grand scheme of things. But I was at Tasa Hara during work period, and I had a bad day. It's crazy. Even at Tasa Hara, you can have bad days sometimes. And it made me think of this No Bad Days company, brand. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a talk saying, actually, yeah, okay, bad days happen. Then I started writing the talk and I realized, is that really all I have to say? Is there any more I can say on that? If that's it, then isn't what I wanted to say in response just as like trite and pithy as the trite pithy thing that I was perceiving they were saying. And I say, no, not really, but kind of. So at first that was my entire point, is like, actually, no, there are bad days sometimes. So no bad days, you got it wrong, man. But then I sat with it some more and I kept trying to work over it. And one, it brought up a koan, which I'm going to get to in just a few seconds. But then two, I also kind of, chilled out a little bit regarding my interpretation of their intent or their whole deal, basically. Because if I was to honestly ask myself, Chris, do you think that anyone who buys that stuff really is like, I will never have a bad day ever? That's what the sticker means? I am committed to never having a bad... Actually, I would say no. I don't think that's what people are thinking when they buy it. Like in the sort of About Us section of the webpage, it started off as like, the founder used to go to Cabo for like fishing back in the 60s, and he liked a laid back vibe, and he wanted to capture that with like a phrase, no bad days. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. But even so, their explanation was like, it's just about trying to maintain a positive mindset, which is a good thing, and being able to handle what life throws at you. I was like, okay, yeah. So, yeah, all right, that's okay, I guess. But what really got me thinking was this koan and the commentary and the verse and stuff on it. So it's case 6 in the Blue Cliff record, which is one of the two big collections of koans, the other being the Gateless Gate, or the Yunmen koan. And still there's also the Book of Serenity, but that doesn't get, I don't think that gets as much press because it's more like, well, not really press, but I don't think it gets as much attention because it's more like a Book of Soto koans, perhaps, or in any ways, Soto doesn't really use koans, Rinzai does, and Rinzai, anyways, I'm kind of out of my depth talking about Rinzai stuff, so I'll stop. Anywho, anyway, so Book of Serenity, case 6. This is Yunmen's Every Day is a Good Day. Yunmen said, I don't ask you about before the 15th day of the month. Well, this version doesn't say of the month, but I'll get into that. So I'll just read the version. This is the Thomas Cleary translation version. It says, I don't ask you about before the 15th day. Try to say something about after the 15th day. Yunmen himself answered for everyone, every day is a good day. So there was another sort of newer translation by a guy named Matthew Jukeson Sullivan. So he just translated the cases and then added his commentary on them. He didn't translate the appreciatory verse or Hawkwind's comments. But so he translated as the 15th of the month. And the reason why, he says, is because in the traditional Chinese lunar calendar, the first of each month begins with the new moon. So the 15th is the night of the full moon. Since the full moon is often used as a metaphor for the awakened mind, it is tempting to think Yunmen is asking his students to describe the experience of enlightenment. What happens after the full moon? What happens after you awaken? When his students are stumped, Yunmen gives his own answer. Every day is a good day. Is the old fox simply saying that once you are awakened, your problems are over? That enlightenment leads to a lifetime of joy? The Japanese Zen master Hakuin, who commented upon the whole Blue Cliff record many times over the course of his career, said of Yunmen's statement, this saying is cold. It has no explanation. It is hard to penetrate, hard to understand. One of the reasons it is so hard to understand is because it so completely contradicts all reason and experience. How can every day be a good day, even for someone like Yunmen? Having an understanding about your mind doesn't transform you into a permanently happy person or render you immune from the full range of human emotions. Indeed, it would be a little creepy if it did. And even if it did, how can every day be a good day when there is so much hardship and loss for the rest of the world? So I think the reason why this koan stuck in me as firmly as it did, and I'm still choking on it in a good way, oh, yes, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I was thinking when he said every day is a good day, he meant from the point of view of your perception of the world. For example, if you look out and you see insects flying around and flowers coming to bloom, you would probably think in your mind, every day is a good day. But if you just look out and say, oh, the same old thing, it would not be a good day. So it's really, he's talking about your mind. When he says every day is a good day, do you really look at the world and feel that way? Or are you only thinking the hardships?
Well, some thoughts I had about that were that my way of thinking about what's a good day and what's a bad day can be based on small mind versions of good and bad. There's a line in Hamlet where Hamlet says to Horatio, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And for sure, when I have a bad day, it's like, sure, some things happen that are not to my liking, but that's true about good days as well. And what's different is the filter that I'm looking at stuff through. What's different is what I'm doing once a thing happens. And I think that's why I like this koan as much as I do. I think that's why I've been sort of so, what's the word, interested in getting to the heart of this, is because it speaks to the general koan of our lives and Buddhism, which is, in any given moment, how do we respond to what's coming up? So a bad day is more characterized by my response to situations than by the situations themselves. Much like how a class, an online class that Spencer hooked me up with about Stoic mindfulness or mindful stoicism, I'm not sure which. One of the teachings from Epictetus was, it's not events that upset us, it's our judgments about events.
All things we know from practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe he's just saying, open your eyes and look at the world. When he says every day is a good day, he might be just telling you to look around. You see bees on the flowers and people happily working in their yard and in our yard. And that's a very joyful feeling to see this pleasant peacefulness. So I think he's just saying, open your eyes and look around and then say it isn't a good day.
Spencer?
No such thing as a good day. There's no such thing as a bad day. I love the good days. I love the bad days. Without preference. That's this koan.
Yeah. And I kind of landed on today was a good day. Good. Today was a bad day. Good.
There you have it.
I want to read you. So what the one?
Was me? Oh.
Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did, but if there's...
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of want to get to the end of my talk and then actually, like, do more Q&A. Spencer and Jane get to jump the line because they're the habits, or whatever. So, right. Okay, so there was this really fantastic website, terabest.hu. I don't think it's legal because it's like lots of copyrighted material that you can get PDFs on over the internet. So if you're in a position to buy the physical copy, help out the publishers of Dharma. But, definitely, I mean, I would say go read some stuff because it's phenomenal. Anyways, one of the translations of the Blue Cliff Record they had was from like 1964 or something like that, and it was by a guy named R.D.M. Shaw. I'd never heard of him before researching this talk. The appreciatory verse that accompanies the koan.
He has great commentary.
Yeah, he does. I agree. And I really liked his translation of the verse that originally accompanied the koan in the Chinese Blue Cliff Record. It was different than the other two translations that I read, and it made sense. And I'm going to read it, and I'm going to tell you why I like it with respect to what's been coming up in my talk and the sort of back and forth. So, again, I don't ask you about before the 15th day. Tell me something about after the 15th day. And what Yunmen said in response, instead of waiting for someone else to answer, was every day is a good day. So, he who casts off the unity and grasps the sevenfold, above, below, and in the four directions, no one can be compared with such a one. He walks leisurely through the flowing, murmuring waters. He sees what he pleases, absorbed in the flight of the birds. The herbs are luxuriant, the mists envelop all. Shunyata on his rock, showered upon by flowers. Snap your fingers at his unbearable misery. But, Shunyata, do not move. A move will bring 30 blows. I'm going to read it again. She who casts off the unity and grasps the sevenfold, above, below, and in the four directions, no one can be compared with such a one. She walks leisurely through the flowing, murmuring waters. She sees what she pleases, absorbed in the flight of the birds. The herbs are luxuriant, the mists envelop all. Shunyata on his rock, showered upon by flowers, snap your fingers at his unbearable misery. But, Shunyata, do not move. A move will bring 30 blows. 30. So in the explanation of the verse, so just in case you didn't know, when someone refers to the unity or emptiness, it's the same basic thing. It's the undifferentiated thusness. It's just everything absent any layers that draw distinctions between Chris and Cushion, or between Avisa and altar, etc. All those distinctions, all of our concepts about it, that's like a layer of emptiness. A layer on top of emptiness. That's the form. So the form and emptiness, the many and the one, or the phenomenal conditioned existence, and the unity, or actual like oneness, actual existence as it is without whatever. But and it's in Genjo Koan. Dogen says that the Buddha way, is leaping clear of the many and the one. In other words, not having a preference for or not elevating either over the other, but somehow being able to appreciate both. That's why there's an entire freaking poem called the Sandokai about the harmony or the co-meddling of unity and differentiation, or of again the one and the many things, the myriad things. So what that translator says is that, because the commentary that I already read, right, he's saying like there's no way that Yunmen is saying like every day is a happy day and blah blah blah. It's not like that at all. And just like I don't think No Bad Days is saying that either. And just as a quick aside, and I'll try and keep it short, while I was thinking about this, and I was thinking like, oh, what makes a good day good or a bad day bad? It also struck me like, oh, what makes a phrase like no bad days empty and, in bad faith and just to sell, merchandise, and therefore, petty or trite or whatever, versus every day is a good day, from a Zen master, oh, it's wise and stuff. And I'm not sure if this is right or not, but it occurred to me that how did I put it? Like, it does matter. So basically what I was saying is like, the source could matter, but ultimately it's not, you know, kind of like to take what Epictetus said, it's not the thing that I got irritated by, it was my interpretation of the thing. So it's like, no bad days was like a balloon. And instead of just letting people enjoy the balloon, I was like grabbing the balloon and like rubbing it on myself and like, I hate this texture. It's like, well, Chris, you did it to yourself, man. You could have just left the balloon alone, but no, you had to grab it and do something to irritate yourself using it. What I liked about the explanation, which was Yunmen is not answering every day is a good day, saying it's all positive and eschewing negative. And he's also not saying there is no distinction between good and bad. What the translator seemed to think, based on his translation and understanding of he who casts off the unity and grasps the sevenfold is the many. He said, the warp and the woof of our actual lived lives. So if you come back from emptiness, if you come back down from the mountain where you and the ox and everything turned to complete nothingness, if you come back from that, then that's good. If you can appreciate the unity, as it's said here, and then also give it up and come back and live a life of humanity with other humans, then it seems like this person who wrote the appreciatory verse says, no one can be compared with you. And it is important, like, do lots of zazen, drop off body and mind, don't get stuck. So this is why trying to understand what every day is a good day means, what Yunmen meant, is so fruitful. Because understanding how to appreciate a bad day is a balancing act, a very fruitful balancing act, where I will not, and the goal is not to do like some sort of spiritual bypass and say a bad day or a bad thing is not a bad thing because it's all one, man. That is not the goal. That is spiritual bypass. And also not get stuck on a sort of negative, form or a negative mental formation, because that can also be the wrong direction. So that's why all of these koans, all of Zen practice is so fascinating and difficult, is because we're trying to basically find some sort of balancing point that includes both unity and differentiation, and also is neither one of those things. And that's what we study when we do Shikantaza and Zazen. So that, I think, is a great place to stop talking and put these papers away. I took Joel's suggestion too much, I think, but also I just did not have time this week to work as much as I wanted to, so maybe there'll be a second version later sometime. But Jane. Oh wait, actually, before I do that, now it's Q&A time. I want to make sure you're in frame. Okay.
I wonder if when you think today is a good day, you just live it. You just do whatever you do. You don't think about work or practice or anything. You just live. And when you say it's a bad day, it's a day when you fully practice.
How so?
When you first, well, if it's really troublesome, you just practice by keeping calm and composed.
So there's a good day practice and there's a bad day practice.
Well, the good day is not a practice, I think. It's a time when you just live. And you don't do anything special, you just live it. You make friends, you observe the world, and you're calm in your own place. And a bad day is when your own place is threatened in some way. And so you have to work hard to keep composure. I think that's when a bad day is, but it's a good day because you do work hard at your practice, which is you work hard to keep composure. So in that sense, it's a good day
Because there's more struggle?
because you're on top of your game when you're practicing with it.
There definitely is more struggle on a bad day because there's more that's pushing me off my happy little perch.
Yes, but you keep climbing back up on it. And
That is the goal.
that's a good day, even though it's a bad day for just living.
Yeah.
It is a time when you just work hard at composure.
Sure.
I have maybe a distinction to ask. So, the first explanations, no good days, no bad days, that's an equanimous position, right? That's a position in the absolute, right? Because we're in our relative world, we're addressing this as neutral, right? But Shaw looks at it differently. Shaw looks at it from emptiness. And in emptiness, there really are no good or bad days. There's just this and this bliss that he's explaining, but it's all there, the good and the bad, without differentiation. How do you see that?
I do think that saying there are no good days and there are no bad days, I can understand the truth of that does come from the emptiness angle. That is very equanimous, and equanimity is definitely informed by intimacy with emptiness.
They both can be true,
Yes,
but
and that's
they're
half.
both going at it from sort of different positions.
What was the second position?
The second position was emptiness.
Of where it's neither good nor bad.
No, where an enlightened being how would they see it? They don't see it differentiated in any way.
Well, that seems to be what they were getting at with the second part of that verse. Is they use, so the word shunyata in Sanskrit is what gets translated as emptiness. In this context, shunyata was basically being used as an epithet for a monk who is basically absorbed in emptiness, who's just sitting on his rock, completely concentrated, not seeing any differentiation whatsoever. In one of the other translations, or in one of the explanations of that verse, it talked about how this story featured King of the Gods showering blossoms and praising this being, this mendicant. I don't think it was actually Buddha. I did not get that impression. For basically just being one with emptiness. The person who wrote that verse is really scornful of them. When he says snap your fingers at shunyata, that's like kind of it's like a rude gesture-ish. It can be a few things. It said something like one of the things it can be is like to wake someone up. Obviously, it's like get someone's attention. But he said in this context, it's saying snap your fingers, meaning deride this person. What they are doing by being absorbed in emptiness is not praiseworthy. Somehow, what they got from Yunmen was not there is no good or bad, but thinking makes it so, or maybe just there is no good or bad, but look, even if you have a bad day, it's still a good day. And that includes, that's not brushing aside. Again, it's not spiritually bypassing. Like I got in a car accident today. I didn't get in a car accident today, but like, if someone was having like a bad day, like, oh, I spilled my coffee and I burned myself and like it stained this shirt that was a hand-me-down for my brother who died, like stuff, when we think of like what a bad day looks like, he's not saying that stuff is insignificant. It's just adding the appreciation to it. Like Suzuki Roshi says, you should be thankful for your problems or something like that. Where it's not denying, it's not negating any of the differentiated aspect of what our lived experience is that is inspiring us to feel bad or to be suffering. And so it's just finding a way to appreciate it, I guess, despite all that.
I actually was talking to some friends about this case very recently. It's kind of an important case to my little friend group of Dharma friends. And, I'll just say how I kind of understand it based on my conversation with them and how they kind of disagreed and maybe some open questions, because it is interesting. So how I understand it is Yunmen's good is not the good of good and bad. It's a different type of good. Yet, good is the right word, right? And so they brought up this kind of distinction where if it's not the good of good and bad, could we just as well say every day is a bad day, right? And where we differed is, I'm like, no, you're missing the point. And defending that is a little difficult, but that's basically where I stand, and I'm curious, given everyone's understanding, why didn't Yunmen say every day is a bad day? I think there's a reason why he said good, so, yeah.
Does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they said.
No.
Yeah.
But does it matter? And who does it matter to?
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, it's not a question for me.
No,
if that makes sense.
but it is a question for you. Who does it matter to, whether it's good or bad? If you could get past that, that's what he's getting at, where it's going. Okay, the fact that you're disputing the good or bad of it is exactly the antithesis of the koan, the duality in that, and that we keep going to one being two, and everything in this, a good and bad day, is one being two, and we're reinforcing that.
Yeah, that's very akin to what they were actually saying. That was your criticism of me, and I say to that, I can skip that game, and I can say it's good. That would be my
As long as
turning
you have
words.
no attachment, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But
yeah.
the fact that you think good is better than bad, or bad is better than good, you took a position. So as soon as you take a position, you're in your ego mind.
Yeah, I suppose. I wonder if there's a way, and this is what I'm interested about, because the way in which Zen masters dance between the relative and absolute, can you stand in the relative absolutely? You see what I'm saying there? So when I say,
Of course.
yeah, when I say I'm going to stand on every day being a good day, I'm attempting to move from that absolute understanding back into the relative, which is sort of what you were saying. It's not about somehow merging those two things into the moment.
Well, in Kenyan, you're merging the two into the moment. Sorry, Chris.
No, that's okay. And Mike and Jane, I want to call on you, but first I wanted to just finish responding to Jim. Jim? It is Jim, right?
It is Jim.
Okay, good. Sorry, I spaced out for a second.
So,
That's what makes this stuff an interesting tool, like a stone for polishing a sword, is by sitting and holding it and letting it work over us. Interesting things happen. Our edges and corners that based in our karma and an outlook, a way of relating to and living that is caught by and characterized almost exclusively by clinging to the phenomenal version, I guess, of our experience. That gets eaten away while we work with koans and while we do Zen practice. So sometimes I get frustrated with koans because like it doesn't make any sense. It's just nonsense. But I think that koans so we're not supposed to interpret a koan literally and then come to a logical conclusion or answer to the koan based on that literal interpretation. I think that it's also not just supposed to be nonsensical, just, it's not supposed to have as much logical sense as, like a firework or something, you know what I mean? It is possible to it's not that you make sense of it, but the more you sit with the question, or the more you sort of work with it, I guess, one, it'll show you things about your mind, and those observations can be fruitful. And then at some point, or at some points, like don't ever stop. But along the way, little bits of sense will come up, some answers will come up, and those are interesting too. But Dave Cuomo at Angel City Zen Center, he always starts off lit night or koan night by pointing like these have been overanalyzed and misinterpreted for ages and ages and ages, and we are joining in that tradition today. Whenever they go into reading a koan and trying to interpret it, to answer your question though, because I do want to answer your question. I don't think saying every day is a bad day is right. I don't think that's accurate. And the reason is because saying good and bad are interchangeable is going too far towards an emptiness-based stance or an emptiness-based interpretation or appreciation of reality. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, well enough.
And you're right, it is hard to defend because it is hard to come to like a didactic, conclusion based on logic. They were all about that when Buddhism was still in India. Once it hit China, it shifted completely. And, some people say that is a good thing because this sort of like vagueness takes us in a different direction, away from building a framework on mental formations and concepts. And I think that, that is a good thing. Granted, I'm kind of Monday morning quarterbacking the whole development of Buddhism right now. I think that whoever said that has a point, that the vagueness is incredibly helpful, and tripping someone up when they're in the middle of trying to conceptually make sense of emptiness, for example, or any part of Buddhism, or even their lives, is a good thing. So, Gene, I'm sorry to have taken so much time to finish my point.
Listening. I have been talking about every day is a good day is just observing with your mind and being quiet. But I think there are definitely really bad days. And I'm not sure what I did to get through it, but the day that I was told Peter had died, I literally felt like the whole world fell out somehow. And I had a Sangha that I could come and sit with at the time, or even just talk to, so that made a big difference for me. But I didn't think it was a bad day. I thought 2025 was a bad year because he died in January 4th of last year. So I just felt the whole year was a bad year. And various people who sympathized with me felt the same emphasis, which I was sorry about. But now it's almost a year since he passed away, but I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel that it's a bad year, and some of those incredible things happened this year. But I really do think finally that practice got me through this without getting depressed or totally disturbed by it. So for that, I think the practice is something to celebrate. That's it.
I think that's good. I also, hearing you talk, made me think maybe it's fair to, or, I'm not putting words in Yunmen's mouth. I'm just saying, here's something that makes sense to me, is if instead of saying every day is a good day, although that is fine, how does this sound? Every day is your life. So today is a bad day, but it's my life. It's my life. Today is a good day. It's my life. When he says every day is a good day, he's not meaning good or bad in the way that good days and bad days can be good days or bad days.
But I was saying it was a bad day on that day.
And that's true. Not only because it's your lived experience, but
that's past. In spite of everything, it does pass.
yeah,
So I don't feel it's a bad year anymore.
we can't pick and choose.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm grateful I got through this with the help of a lot of people.
And I just want to say that we're grateful for you, Jane, or at
Ditto.
least I am.
Well, I'm more grateful for you and you and you and you.
Mike, what time is it?
Whatever you
It's
say,
12
I'm
o'clock,
more
so I'm
than.
withdrawing my question.
It's 12 right now?
Yeah, I'm withdrawing my question.
Okay, Spencer, a capping phrase perhaps?
Oh, yeah, I would just say, how would you present this koan? Because none of our answers are acceptable.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, all
they,
right.
you would have the bell rung.
Oh man. All right. Thank you. Well, I'll sit with this con a little bit more then.
Do I get a chance to comment? I've had my hand up for a while.
I'm sorry about that.
It'll be quick.
Okay.
Number one, I was remiss last week and a couple of weeks ago to wish everybody a happy new year. La Shana Tova. I don't know, I fall back on my statistical training and to say and I don't know if this is relevant to the Dharma, but you can't have bad days without good days. Every time you have a bad day, no matter how bad, you're going to have an equally good day or an equally bad day.
That's true.
And then I think that leads then to the Dharma and to say that there's a certain amount of equanimity that goes on. And that's echoing what Spencer had to say. There is no good, there is no bad.
And I didn't even get into the notion that we can only really define good by comparing it to bad and vice versa. That's a whole ass thing in Zen.
Yeah, that's the Tao, right? You can't
Is
have
it?
up without down. Can't have up without down. So
All right.
Thank you.
There's
Sorry, thank you very
more
much.
to come.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, folks.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you,
And
Jade.
everyone in the room and everyone online, thank you very much for your kind attention. Please take very good care of yourselves.
Thank you, Chris,
Thank you, Chris.
for your
Thank you,
good
Chris.
talk.
You're welcome.